Welcome back, people on the network and tubes of the interwebs. This is the Stop the Movie podcast, or Stop the Movie I Want to Get Out, the full title. A podcast about some of the most notoriously bad movies Hollywood has made, but why people love to talk about when things go so wrong. I'm hosting Alex Dunbar. I'm here with...
Wait, what are you doing?
I'm hosting... This is such an unprecedented episode. I'm totally thrown off. We'll get into why in a minute. I'm Alex Dunbar. I'm here as always with Andy Wolf.
Well, not always, but sometimes.
Usually, most
often
times.
with Andy Wolf, Jack Esterbrook.
What?
Brian Mueller. And Cody Wolf.
We're doing a podcast.
And this is, I start off, I think this is going to be the shortest podcast because there's not much to talk about.
No,
This
not
movie.
at all.
I would disagree with that.
I think it's...
I would
We
disagree
should
with that.
vivisect this mofo.
This is an unprecedented, historic moment in Stop the Movie I Want to Get Out podcast history, which is admittedly is a pretty short history.
In
but
the
In the grand scheme of things.
But yeah, in the still unprecedented. I'm still going to drop it. Normally when we do these podcasts, we're talking about a movie that all of us just thought was awful, and we're discussing why it's so awful. Not today. Today we are talking about a movie that at least one of us enjoyed, while the other, we'll see how many of the others did not like it. Briefly, before this episode started, we took secret ballots, and we will tally those up at the end.
They were, but...
And the movie we are talking about is the 2008 M. Night Shyamalan.
There it is.
Mark Wahlberg, The Happening. This is our second go-around.
This is M. Night Shyamalan is rearing his
Came
ugly
back
head
for
yet
more.
again.
Yeah, he came out earlier
I hope we
episode.
do plenty more M. Night Shyamalan movies, though.
They are tough. We
There's
actually
two more, right?
There's at least
he's
two.
making
more.
more.
And
There's
he's
many.
making
He's still
more.
making them.
Don't
He's still
worry.
making them.
Yeah, thank M. Night
If he
Shyamalan.
makes them, we'll do them.
He's keeping this podcast in business.
He's almost like the Moriarty
Yeah.
to our collective Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
We hate him, yet we need him.
Yes.
We do. I mean, after we did Lady in the Water, I needed a break. I was not ready to do one of his movies again. But we took a little time off, and The Happening is in the mix. I don't know. You know what? We're going to give away some of it. Andy, you enjoyed this movie. Normally, we would give a summary in a mocking way.
But after 3 viewings, you enjoyed this movie.
This, right.
Why don't we give him a chance?
I can't believe you watched
Andy
it.
a
I think
chance to
you were
defend
infected
himself.
by some of the toxin.
When I came
Yeah.
out and I didn't enjoy it, then I saw it on TV and I was like, there's some elements there I kind of like. And it was in the $5 bin, so I ate $5. I bought it. I watched it again. I'm like, you know what? I enjoy this movie.
You like the deal you got, not the actual movie.
I've seen you watch this several times.
And I guarantee,
I watched it a
I
number
guarantee
of
in
times.
defending this movie, because I know you so well, that you'll use the words mood and atmosphere quite a bit.
I tried to come up with different words.
You-
You
those
got
are the two
a
you use.
thesaurus around here somewhere?
Gotta search your
There's
vocabulary.
some new
The source. What do they call that word? The thesaurus?
Thesauruses were extinct before humans existed.
I just know whenever you defend a terrible movie, you use the words mood and atmosphere.
And I'm going to use them today, too.
Let's
all I'm saying.
let's talk about this movie. Andy, to give this movie a fair shake, let me have you give the briefest summary of what this movie is about. And partly to give it a fair shake, and partly because I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to give a summary of this movie.
Well, this one is. Let's be fair to Shyamalan. This one's better than Lady in the Water, and it's less confusing. I think it's less confusing than Lady in the Water.
yeah.
Well, it's definitely. Yeah.
I think I do.
We'll get to that at the end.
I find it
We'll
less
get to that
confusing.
later.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wasting
Yeah.
time. Let's do
All
this.
right.
I guess summary would be The Wind is Scary.
Okay. Well,
If that's your summary, you can't like this.
this is all right.
The one person who's defending this movie can't give that summary for this
Yeah,
movie.
your defense is
That
really.
should have been the title of the movie right there. Boom.
It's a
Review is over. We're done. End credits, please.
If this was a trial, you would already be fired for ineffective counsel.
Counselor,
It's a
opening statements.
It's another M.
use
Night
the
The wind,
Shyamalan relationship
the wind
movie.
is scary?
Okay.
It's all
So-
about their,
relationship I
it's all
didn't care
about their
about.
relationship.
All right, in brief summary, the plants are releasing toxins while Mark Wahlberg and his wife work out relationship issues.
Well, it's kind of like Mark Wahlberg and his wife are working out relationship issues while in the midst, everyone in the
of an
world is dying.
apocalyptic toxin is yeah.
Well, yeah, this movie, in a sense, it's almost like Shaun of the Dead. Like, Shaun of the Dead is a comedy
Yes, right.
where it's a romantic comedy where a zombie movie happens to be going on around it. That's like what The Happening is. It's like a romantic movie that just...
But it's like a chick flick
interestingly
romantic
has
movie.
a
Right.
disaster movie going on
But
around it.
It's the funny thing is the relationship problems really aren't that bad.
No,
And it's really annoying.
and they're
She
really
had dinner
boring.
with somebody and didn't do anything. I mean,
Right.
the relationship problems really aren't that bad.
He never really seems
Basically,
like
well,
it's a big deal to him.
Let's get people a frame of reference. Mark Wahlberg plays a science teacher in New York City.
Philadelphia.
His wife,
Philadelphia.
No, it is New York.
Mark
They moved to Philly.
Wahlberg.
Because when I started watching the movie, I thought,
yeah,
let me guess, Philly? Oh, New York, it's different. Oh, wait, now they're going to Pennsylvania. Never mind.
No, it is Philly.
I thought it was New York because it
pretty
starts
sure
in
it's
Central
Philly.
Park, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It starts in
The
Central
movie
Park.
starts in Central Park. They're in
Oh,
Philadelphia.
see, okay,
Philadelphia.
so maybe I was wrong. Maybe it is more
They're
confusing because I
Philadelphia,
assumed
and
they were in New
they're
York.
talking
You're
about
right.
Did
You're
you
right.
hear how in Central Park, New York, there's a blah,
You're
blah,
right.
blah. They're in
Okay.
Philadelphia.
And Mark Wahlberg.
Yep, that makes sense.
He
Well, anyway,
talks like this.
Yes.
Everything is like this.
He talks like
And
this.
it
He's a
drives you
science
nuts.
teacher.
After 7 times you hear him.
So
Come on, guys.
So he's
Yeah.
got.
Get
Come on,
excited about
guys! You got to
science.
get excited about science.
So the movie there's probably the only creepy scene in the movie, somewhat creepy.
It's the opening scene.
Is the opening scene? A bunch of people walking through Central Park, doing things. When all of a sudden, a lot of them start just freezing in place, and
Some of them start walking backwards.
some of them start walking backwards. They start killing themselves, and you see a couple other scenes of this. Why am I the one defending?
It begins to
this movie?
spread.
This is
Basically,
because
okay.
this first part.
Well,
of the
because
movie
Andy's
is actually
defense
just
was the
atmospheric
wind is
mood.
scary.
yeah,
the first part, because this scene is when I saw the scene, I was like, I might like this movie.
yeah.
But then after the scene, everything went to crap.
And so, and basically, we then cut to Mark Wahlberg, who gives a
Getting excited about
unbelievably
science.
heavy-handed classroom presentation about bees and
dying and
being,
Why are the bees
disappearing.
dying?
And being-
Just good scientists ignore that stuff. It
Yeah.
just happens.
being environmentally friendly. If the inconvenient truth is less heavy-handed than this movie is at times.
Well, he insults that kid into answering a question.
Oh, like
He
forces
badgers
him
the
to
poor
it.
kid.
Yeah, really bad.
And he lies to him, but
You
because
better
he's a
answer this
science
question
teacher, the
'cause you're gonna
kid
be ugly
trusts
soon.
him.
Yeah, the one kid's like, they're bees. I don't care. And so
Basically,
okay.
kind of like a 9/11 situation. Basically, he's at work, and the entire school shuts down. Everything stops as everyone turns to watch the TV to see hundreds of people are dying, mysteriously killing themselves in New York City. They believe it is a terrorist attack.
But how do they shut the school down? Because we've got to talk about this.
Well, yeah.
This is so his assistant principal comes to his Mark Wahlberg's classroom and is like, "Hey, we need you to come down to the auditorium." They bring all of the teachers down to the auditorium, and we see in the movie that all of the kids are still in the classroom.
Left
Some of them are
alone to
like
their own devices.
Yeah, going nuts in the classrooms, and the principal is like, "We think there's a terrorist attack underway that's happening in New York City. We're going to dismiss the school." And I'm like, why did you bring all the teachers down to this auditorium? Why didn't you just, what was the point? Now the kids, so you think there's a terrorist attack going on, and now all the kids are unattended, while Cameron from, Ferris Bueller is telling them that
and the guy from Spin City.
Yes,
There's
that's right.
more,
Yep,
There's
and-
more
yep.
Shyamalan back of the head shots. There was like the
Absolutely.
back of his
Yeah,
head
I
as he
thought
was
that guy was going to be in the movie more. He's actually like
Yeah.
a somewhat notable guy. He had like 2 lines.
Sure, and yeah, he was never seen again. Now,
But I
also
don't
here,
understand. I guess on 9/11, did they let all the kids out of school everywhere? Because I don't remember getting out of school on 9/11.
totally unattended,
Right.
just...
It's like,
well, they did it.
This is what they think is a terrorist attack happened in New York City, and so they let all the kids out in Philly. And like you said, totally unattended.
yeah.
Totally unattended.
Here we are introduced to the only good performance in the whole movie,
Don't even
and
say that.
it's
John
not even
Leguizamo.
good. John Leguizamo.
All right, some of the trees.
John
are bad.
Leguizamo is
You can't argue
Oh
that
my
he's the
God,
best
that's
actor in this movie.
John Leguizamo is probably the best actor in this
Oh,
film.
yeah.
You
easily.
cannot defend this movie and not say that he's the best
And
actor in
The
this
best
and,
actor,
and
the best acted
he's
part.
basically he's the math teacher, and he's buddies with the science teacher.
Yeah.
And
With Mark Wahlberg.
there's a little conversation about how Leguizamo does not like Wahlberg's wife. I don't remember the character names. I'm just going to use the actors' names. He doesn't like his wife because
name
at
is
their
Julian, I think.
at their wedding,
Yeah.
he saw her crying like she didn't
Right,
want to
yeah.
go through with it. So he has this
Yeah, what a heavy
seething
conversation that
hatred
was.
for this guy's wife. I don't trust her, man. I don't trust her, man. There's a terrorist attack, and now he's wasting time talking about this guy's
Well,
wife.
he's talking about they had a bit of a fight, and then
that's right, there was a
Leguizamo
fight.
goes to like the trump card of like,
Get it
I know
right.
you guys have kind of been fighting a little bit. I didn't want to say anything, but your wife was crying on the wedding day.
And let's talk about in this
think you
frame.
rushed her
Let's,
into
let's
it.
put it in this frame of reference. There's like very basic screenwriting tip is don't say it, show it. This movie is the total antithesis
The
of
picture
this.
is worth 1,000 words.
Nobody shows anything.
Yeah.
People just talk. Like, it's just
'Cause
like
instead of
He's
showing-
like-
dialogue.
instead of showing-
He's like, yeah, my wife got a little angry at me because I forgot to get the milk last night. You know, I didn't want to tell you, but she was crying on her wedding day.
Yeah, nobody sees. They never show you anything. They just
Right, 'cause
talk about it.
instead of showing, because he tells Leguizamo how his wife, I think her name is Alma, played by Zoe Deschanel,
Who's gorgeous,
he's-
by the way. Sorry, I'm
he's-
going to say that.
He's thanks, Jack.
Does that keep?
Sorry.
I just called you
Totally,
Zach.
it's
Jack,
totally
Totally derailed
inappropriate,
me.
Jack.
Totally derailed me. He's talking about how she's been real distant lately and blah blah. Instead of just showing her being distant, he's having this conversation where she's just really distant. I don't know what's happening.
Right?
And,
Why would you say that? If you need
Right.
to, if you need to establish she's distant, show us being distant. No, they just hammered. We haven't even seen her on camera yet.
But once we do, there's no mistaking. This girl is like zonked out on like Prozac or something. She's just staring at the TV screen. Whoa!
But that's just Zoe Deschanel. This is
But
the
she
worst.
generally plays those.
Yeah, this is
characters.
just her character.
This
Like, I
is
thought there was something wrong
horrible,
with her when we
horrible
first saw her.
casting.
because, I like her. She's a good actress, I think. But her first line when he gets back to the house, she says this line. I can't remember exactly what it is, but she's watching TV and showing the news broadcasts, and she says something along the lines of, "Just when you thought no more evil events in the world." I have here, is Zoe saying these lines for the very first time? Because it sounded like she never even read this line before.
It looked like they were reading
Like the
off
script
cue
or something. Yeah, like
cards.
like there's cue cards or
That's how
like
bad
they're
the
doing a
line
script
read was.
reading and they just took
I
that.
you can tell
The
exactly
shot was pretty
why.
tight. Maybe that was a take from the script reading.
She might have been.
It sounded like just a.
She was
rehearsal.
cast
run
for
through.
her eyes.
Yeah.
If you, and I would not recommend this, you could play a drinking game with this movie, but if you took a small sip of even a light beer every time Zoe Deschanel opens her eyes really wide, you will have alcohol poisoning after 20 minutes.
You would die.
That's it. That's her acting. And is she really an actress? I think she's a live action cartoon character.
In this
She
movie.
does look very anime-ish.
Yeah,
now that I think
don't-
about it.
Are we sure that she's not from like a manga novel or something? Anyway,
But so he comes in to the apartment and she's acting distant and reading.
Yeah, they're
lines
true
very
true
poorly.
to the billing. She is
Yeah,
distant.
so they decide
She delivers on that.
Julian is going to take them along on a train to, I don't know, somewhere like his brother or something.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes upstairs to pack, and
I think
he
it's-
picks up.
yeah.
He picks up off the. He looks at a picture of him and his wife, and he's like, "Oh." He picks
Back
up
when
off
they
the
were
table.
happy,
Yeah,
when
he,
she was crying on her wedding day.
He picks up off the desk or the dresser a giant freaking ring and puts it on his
A
finger.
huge, ugly, a hideous mood ring.
I thought this was like, I'm like, is this his wedding ring? Why does he have such a huge, hideous wedding ring?
Yeah.
Turns out it's a mood ring.
The wedding ring will make sense because the
Apparently, Mark
relationship's
Wahlberg's a
in jeopardy.
13-year-old girl.
but
Yeah,
mood
that's like a
ring.
huge mood ring. Like, what's he
Yeah,
doing?
why is this movie pitching like mood rings? Mood rings have not been cool for at least 25 years.
Right.
when
So
this
how
movie's
old?
I didn't even
how
know-
old were
I
they when
mean-
he got it? I mean, were they like a couple? Of
When were I don't think I've ever
I
been
don't even
alive
think
when movies were
Wahlberg.
popular.
or
I don't
what?
even think Mark
Yeah.
Wahlberg and Zoe Deschanel were old enough
not, that's what
now
I'm saying.
to have been crazy
Cool.
about mood rings
Right.
when mood rings were
I
cool,
don't
like
even
in
think-
'77.
If you're under, I would argue to say, if you're under about 35, you probably don't even know what a mood ring
Yeah, I didn't even
is
know
when
what it
this
was.
movie comes out.
It's a
And
good
they
thing
just
they
pitch it as
explained
like,
it.
oh, which we should also mention. This is a great point to make in this movie. This movie is timeless, and not timeless in a good way. It is not clear what year we're talking about. Mark Wahlberg's cell phone has an antenna on it, which he actually pulls out the antenna when making a call.
What?
And moments later, he's talking to a woman who's watching a video on her touchscreen
Yes.
cell phone.
Yes.
What year
Exactly.
is
It's a
this?
teacher's salary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they go to the train station where they meet Julian and his daughter. Julian mentions how his wife is in Princeton, I think it was.
Yep.
And she's on her way, whatever.
Yep.
And Julian says something to Alma to offend her, something about, I can't remember, something suggesting that Elliot had told him about their fight. So she gets upset.
You told them about our fight?
Yes. She
And
gets
again,
upset.
takes
Takes her aside and takes him aside and is like,
Yeah.
"What did
That
you-
scene reminded
You know
me-
I'm private. You know I don't
don't
show
like to show my
emotion.
emotions.
Oh, she finally criticizes her acting style. Thank you very much, Zoe Deschanel, for doing that.
That scene reminded me of like an acting class where you bring in like two like really inexperienced actors and tell them to like face each other and read the lines off the script because that's really what it seemed like.
Because it was like
It
everyone
was really
was like,
forced and it
like
was really
theatrical.
over exaggerated
Yeah,
reactions.
Like It was like
It's
that
over
old-
accentuated so the people in the back could hear
It is. Like they call it like in theater they'd be like
projection.
Yeah.
Play it
It's
for
the
the back
stage
row.
whisper.
Projection, they call
Yeah.
that in theater. It's
And to this-
projection.
So
I
she
didn't
gets
tell him. She just guessed.
she gets mad at him. Stomps off, goes to the train. She's gonna sit on her own on the train.
We're not gonna get a chance to sit next to each other anyway. She says something like that.
Elliot gets angry at Julian for saying something, and there's this moment where I can't remember the exact line, but he's fighting with Julian, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know you didn't want me to tell," or I can't remember what it was, but somehow Mark Wahlberg has gone to going, "Duh."
He's like, I don't need your help. Duh.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I don't need your help. Duh. It was like this. What?
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg's
Like I
clearly
said-
playing a 13-year-old girl. He has a mood
had to
ring
go
and he says,
back.
duh.
I had to go back and watch it again because I'm like, what, did he just say that line?
Hey, guys,
Duh.
I cannot stress to you listeners enough, and I tried to articulate this through my tweets as well. The acting in this movie is by far among the worst I've ever seen in a high-budget Hollywood production. Ever. It rivals YouTube fan videos. It is so bad, and these are professional actors, most of whom I've seen in better films, acting better than this.
And again,
we
there's
just-
all this drama at this train station. Like, drama, like, are we going to get on the train? I don't want to get on the train. I'm upset at him. I'm upset at you. You're upset. I'm upset at him now.
My
You're upset
mood
at
ring.
By
My
the way,
mood ring is showing me that I'm very angry right now.
also going on in this movie, what is believed to be a terrorist attack that left hundreds of people dead.
Yeah.
Like, none of that being handled. Everyone's caught up in this weird relationship drama.
I would like to point out the fact that Andy has been conspicuously silent
Well,
throughout this whole
It is
time.
more than conspicuous. Yeah.
What do you think of the train scene, Andy?
Yeah.
Well, we can. Do you want to challenge? Do you want to challenge each point as we get to it, or do you want to wait
I'm
and
just
then
listening because
take up
it's
the
like-
last 20 minutes and just go?
You guys are nitpicking so much here.
The acting is a very key part of a film
Wow.
structure.
I agree.
If your actors aren't
I've
good,
always
then you
said-
can't believe the character.
I've always said Wahlberg is terrible. Like, 'cause
Okay.
it is the same thing all the time. I'd like to do the whole podcast like this, but I can't do it.
We could do that. We could do that, Andy. We could do the whole podcast like that.
But
if you want
Zoe
to.
was fine. I didn't see any really.
She is
terrible
not
she's
fine.
not fine.
She is not
She's
fine.
she is not
Zoe
fine.
Deschanel's
on
really
I
not
wasn't
in
watching
terms of her acting style.
I wasn't watching this movie for some great acting. I was watching it
shut
for
up.
a cool story and
Story.
atmosphere.
It doesn't have a cool
What?
story.
It does
Andy
not
was
have
watching this for a cool story.
Yet
Yeah,
again,
sorry.
people, the
We're gonna-
wind is
You already
scary.
skipped
There.
over all the.
We're gonna be
all the-
nitpicking the story too. By
You
the
already
way.
skipped over all the really creepy elements.
There's
There's
one
one
talked about
I
this
love
scene.
it. That guys,
There's no creepy.
the
There's
guys jumping off the building. All
Yeah,
that. I thought that was like
one
really cool
scene.
stuff.
That's one
And an
scene.
hour
in
and a
the
half.
I believe
opening
Cody
of the movie.
articulated
There's
this
other ones still,
perfectly.
too.
I believe Cody articulated this perfectly
Plus,
before we get back into this.
for the record-
I thought this movie was going to be good. Didn't you say that?
Yeah, I thought
And
it
then
was
it
good.
went to
Yeah.
crap.
You guys hijacked my DVD and wouldn't let me watch it again. So
You've seen it a bunch of times.
I'm going by memory.
You've seen it like 5
Trust me, it gets
times.
worse every time.
Yeah. Okay.
It's better. That's what I told you. Watch it 3 times. You'll like it.
This is at the Ed's 3 strikes rule.
You know what? And while we're talking about Zoe Deschanel, let me bring this up. They're then on the train. So she's sitting on the train with John Leguizamo's daughter. In an epic tour de force of say it, don't show it acting, Zoe Deschanel delivers this line: "We're so much the same, Jess. I don't like to show my emotions either." Really?
But then she spends-
really?
then she
That's
spends
a-
Imparting on the younger generation.
That daughter's
her
like, I'm going to
acting
grow up
style.
like you.
Yeah.
And she spends the entire movie crying. So
You're kind of creepy, lady.
okay,
Leave
sure.
me alone.
I didn't say the dialogue was good or anything. I just
no, the
The
way he
writing
just
was
delivered
terrible.
that line was exactly how she delivered the line.
Yeah.
It was spot on perfect.
They end up at this restaurant.
Well, because the train stops. The train stops.
I like the
because
phone call with Joey.
the train. Yeah, okay, yeah,
We should mention that.
Yeah,
We should mention that, actually.
the
Okay.
train.
So to add more, I'll just mention this quickly. To add more relationship drama, not terrorist everyone end of the world dying drama, more relationship drama. This guy who Zoe Deschanel's character apparently, like this guy keeps calling Zoe Deschanel's character, who apparently
She always seems very flustered when the
She's
phone
very
rings. I can barely
flustered and,
pick
like,
up the phone.
As if she is having an extramarital affair.
as if she's having. It's certainly implied that
Suggesting
like
it.
something inappropriate is going on, and we're hearing more about this possible extramarital affair than the end of the world at this. But yeah, okay. So that's going on
Well,
too.
it
like
was
to
about
point
the
out- I'd like-
relationship.
And at the same time, they're on the train. There's something happening in maybe it was Philadelphia. More
More people are dying.
killing
More
themselves.
people are
So,
dying.
It happens again, and they find out.
They find out about it while they're on the train, and here's some more great acting from Mark Wahlberg, where he's like, "What's going on?
Well,
where is
right.
it happening? Is everyone okay?" It's like,
I know.
Mark
worst.
Wahlberg was speaking for the audience, and I appreciate
so
that.
bad.
So Zoe gets a call from Joey, and she's like saying like, "Oh, you can't call me again." And then you pause, wait for the response. She's like, "All we had was tiramisu,"
And I told you nothing was going to come out of it.
which I thought was maybe code for something later. But no, it was just
I
it was
really did
just
too. I thought that was a
tiramisu.
euphemism for
yeah,
something.
Yeah,
but,
tiramisu was something else.
No,
but,
just a,
But so the train stops because they can't get they can't contact. They've lost contact with everyone.
Right.
So it's like, oh, let's just stop the train and leave everyone here. So the train stops. They go to this diner, and
we go.
Can we
quickly,
get into this? I think I know where you're going with this.
But we go into like a very lazy form of storytelling that M. Night Shyamalan hammers us with all moving along, which
I
is
love
But
that,
we
that
talked about
Shyamalan
this.
shovel,
Hold on, you
shoveling
have
it
to
in.
do this.
you don't have to in the way it does. All moving along, everyone's watching TVs, and it's not like they're getting a.
That's what you would do.
Well, you're not just getting a quick update from the TV.
You're getting writer's
they're watching
exposition.
long.
This is
long-
called
entire
this is
packages
called writer's convenience. He's explaining what's going on in a very simplistic terms, and he's spilling it out in one whole scene.
and in long
Just
scenes.
getting it out of
one
the way.
These is a
It's lazy.
talking head that's on for like 3
Right. Here's
minutes.
what's
Sometimes
happening.
it
Now you
works.
know what's happening.
Sometimes
you
it
have
works.
to get it out there somehow.
Sometimes
But
this works.
But here's the thing: you
What, are
don't
they gonna
have
come
to.
across a group of scientists in the freaking
No,
woods?
you
and
don't-
explain
you don't
it to
have
No,
to-
you have to. You be watching TV.
You don't have to get across. This is a
That's kinda literally what happened,
fictional
though.
film. This is a narrative film.
they came across
It's not-
plant growers
Yeah.
and told them what was happening.
It's not a documentary. He can write it any way he wants.
That's how he wrote it.
And
They watch
this-
TV for 10
Yeah,
minutes.
they watch TV for 5 minutes and watch a talking head deliver this. He could have done it any way he wanted to. They were not
Like sometimes it works, like in Night of the Living Dead, because they were disconnected from the outside world, and they're slowly hearing about the world falling
What's the
around
difference?
them.
But because in Night of
because-
the Living Dead, he's listening to it on the radio, and as he's listening to it, he's doing things. He's fortifying the house.
and they're
He's-
getting quick
But also,
updates.
The story is
also,
moving
also, you start to hear
It's
what's
not quick
going on.
updates.
It's starting to get worse and worse and worse. Where with these TV broadcasts, it's more like, this is what's going on. This is how it's happening. It's opposed
Yeah,
to.
and they're sitting there
We're not
at a
sure.
table watching
This
the
is
TV.
weird. We have a new report that's just in. Oh my God, they're eating flesh. Oh my God, what's going on? Okay, we have another update right now. You better get to this.
And the
safety
worst
zone.
thing was we had to sit through commercials on some of the programs too during the movie, which really
I was jonesing for an Applebee's after that.
Yeah.
I really had to get my chicken fingers.
If you're an aspiring screenwriter, this is a how not to do a screenplay movie. I mean, there are so many things that fail in this. I mean, lazy screenwriting. The stakes are never raised.
And you don't care. And you don't care about the characters.
Nothing. The stakes are never raised.
Well,
in
I
this
cared
movie.
about them. I was hoping they would die
Well, they don't-
soon.
they're-
There's one character I cared about, and it was John Leguizamo's character.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
He was
we'll
the-
give Leguizamo that.
Leguizamo was the closest.
He was
I came
the only
on.
likable
I
character.
cared about the Ferris Bueller guy, but he never came back.
Yeah, that's true. Cameron never came
What
back.
happened to the principal?
He was too busy. He was too busy stewing about his dad and what was going to happen when he found out the mileage in the car
yeah,
was
the
too
Ferrari.
high. Yeah.
Now
So-
this is where the bad acting comes in because they meet the guy.
Oh, this is
hold
where
on,
the
wait,
bad
wait,
acting
wait,
comes in.
wait,
I'm
wait,
sorry.
wait, I'm gonna-
We still have
we're still
a
in the
major
diner.
logic. We have a
right,
flaw of
go ahead.
logic coming up.
I'm gonna bring up one
That's
point.
where all kinds of
So
creepy
the
moments would go on.
Logical error is coming up.
Well, hold on. So they're all in the diner. Everyone's just kind of chilling in the diner, oddly calm for some reason.
And now
You
in
know.
this scene, there is an extra who delivers a line better than any actor in the whole movie, and he points something out. Right? Can I just say this? I don't know if I'm ahead or behind or what you want to say.
I don't know what you
He
mean.
says,
What is happening?
dude, it's all happening here. Why don't we go where it's not happening?
And that's true.
Right, because it's
And
only
then-
happening on the East Coast.
Yeah, they're watching TV. They're like, "Oh, it's happening here. We gotta go where it's not happening," and everybody freaks the
Yeah.
heck out.
And what happened to I don't understand.
Now, here we go. Logic
I
error.
don't
Love
understand
this.
this. Is everyone in that diner? I think came from the train.
No, they didn't. No.
I think most of them were from the train.
Because they have nowhere to go.
No,
Andy-
Come on, yeah.
There was a train full of people
Yeah.
left in
Yeah.
this small town.
Yes.
This is like a full Amtrak
So-
train of hundreds of
Yeah.
people.
And they have nowhere to go
So-
in
so-
Fennel or wherever this place
So
was
they
called.
they start freaking out because they're trying to get to West.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, everyone jumps in a car and they're gone, and the only people left in the parking lot are the main characters. Where did all of these other people get these cars? Like they literally just everyone runs to a
everybody-
car, gets in a car, and drives
It looked
away.
like the cops broke up a rave when
They
everyone was like,
peel
Literally, like, that was pretty funny. That was funny. Yeah, I gotta give you that. That was funny.
Get the bikes.
Yeah, like
Obviously,
where
in a
did all these
town,
people
there's
get a car?
patrons there that weren't from the train. I mean, it's not like
Okay,
but
but there
everybody
was more
from the
than
train went to one spot.
There was more.
Well, they're in the
than,
middle of
But
nowhere.
you're nitpicking again. You're
the
nitpicking.
entire town is empty now. The
Yeah.
entire town is empty.
Wait, we have to talk about the song.
Where the other people
before we get to
Anyway, what?
you can't say anyway. Oh,
when they watch the video and the
Yeah.
woman's
This is
cell
what
phone.
I'm-
That's
That
bad.
is by far one of
that's
the
just
worst
dumb.
CGI moments I've ever
That
seen in
is,
my
that's-
life.
Yeah.
The
The
lion
woman's
scene.
like, my sister just emailed me this video.
What, are you watching a
watching
snuff film? It's
and
like
like
I get eaten by lions.
the kids sitting there watching
It's
it
pretty
too.
dumb. That's pretty
This
stupid.
guy just walks around. The zookeeper is walking around in a lion's cage and walks over and just like hands the lion his arm and
He just like tears it off.
That was
It's like butter.
That was stupid.
And then he goes over to the other one, he rips that arm off. And then everyone's like gathered around in the diner watching this, and then after it's over, everyone's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
He just
Hey,
saw someone
what's
get
the
killed by
special today?
lions.
Chicken noodle soup?
Wasn't
That's
it the
still
diner
there?
when he did the mood ring thing with
Yeah, with the kid
too?
yeah.
Yeah.
That explained mood rings. Now,
That
I will say
scene was
this.
gold.
You're about to
I'm going to
laugh.
defend
Could
this.
tell.
I've got to say this because I feel bad. I feel bad we're tearing his performance apart. I legitimately feel bad. Mark Wahlberg actually works really well with the kid. The scene with the kid is just very natural. The lines are dumb. The context is stupid.
natural.
The acting
Well,
is dumb.
Andy's even turned at this part.
I think he
Because I
was
was like, this is
he was more
horrible.
natural with that kid than any other character interaction in the rest of the film. Even the
Well-
better actor, John Leguizamo. I seriously believe that. And now I'm not. Again, it was not a good scene. It didn't work. He's talking about mood rings. It was kind of inappropriate to what was going on. But I just kind of felt there was a connection
Everything's
there.
inappropriate to what's going on. No one's
So I mean,
ever-
that's one minor good thing I will say about the movie. It's not much, but
So
there
everybody
it is.
flees
That's
the
my
diner,
opinion.
and here's a pivotal moment in the movie where Julian decides because he can't get a and this is again his performance is good in this movie. He can't get a hold of his wife, so he decides
He's gonna.
gonna
he's got
separate.
he's got to leave his daughter
Daughter.
behind with Elliot and
Zoe.
Alma.
If you take my daughter's hand, you better
No,
mean
that's
it.
that one too. Was like what?
but I again
What?
see the things
What
you don't
is
like
that?
about this movie are the only things
Yeah,
I like
that's
about this
actually
movie.
that's one of the moments I
a
don't
moment,
have a
'cause
problem with.
That was a very real moment.
That's
he's
the only-
got to leave his daughter behind, and he doesn't like Elma, and he wants to
To make sure his daughter's going to be
she's
safe.
gonna because he knows that he's probably not gonna come back.
That's
'cause
one of
he's
the
going to
only.
Princeton.
Cody's right. That's
Yeah.
one of the only motivated character
Right.
moments that happens in this whole
Yeah,
film.
he's torn
And-
apart. He's got so he.
I'm not too big a fan of the line, but he actually
No, I
sold
like
it.
the line, and the way
He
he
sold
read
it.
it.
Right.
I
I
liked
mean,
it.
it could have been a little more. I don't know.
He
You're,
sold
you're
Over the
nitpicking
top
that
of it.
line and like...
I'm not
Trust
nitpicking.
me, this is
John-
the best. This is
John-
the best delivery in the whole movie.
Yeah.
John Leguizamo hands his daughter to Alma and says, "Don't you take my daughter's hand unless you mean it." Meaning to say,
It could have been a little
meaning to
nicer
say,
about it.
No,
I don't
my
like
daughter-
you.
Yeah.
I don't
You're
like
like,
you,
hey.
but I'm trusting you with my daughter's life. Are you ready?
Like, whoa.
Mark
Whoa,
Wahlberg's
whoa,
saying
whoa,
done.
John.
Mark Wahlberg's saying done, acting like a teenage girl, and he takes
I already
exception to
said
the scene where the
Wahlberg
guy's
wasn't good.
handing out.
All right.
And
Wait,
then we
wait,
get, and then we
Hold
get,
on.
and then we get the obvious foreshadowing. Like Leguizamo was separated. He gets in the jeep. He
Oh,
looks
yeah,
back
yeah.
in slow motion. His daughter
Yeah, 'cause
is
he
waving.
Then you get
They're
this-
laying that on with a trout.
He
just
hitches a ride
scaring you
with
it.
someone who's going towards Princeton,
You
and
think-
he does. Of course, he does say, "I'll be
which
back."
is
and
further
he won't be.
east. East Coast is where this is
Well, because
happening.
he can't get a hold of his wife.
Well,
who's
yep.
in Princeton.
Let's move forward into where Andy Wolf's favorite film becomes a freaking ad for hot dogs.
There we
Well, I
go.
was gonna say,
Oh,
now,
God,
now
yeah.
you're introduced
Did
to,
anybody write this line down?
to bad acting because this guy.
So
This
they
isn't bad
end up
acting.
with these.
This is
they end up with
written.
these farm guys. They end up with these farm guys, right? Okay,
Okay.
a farmer and his
Yeah.
wife. They drive to their house and they say, "We're going to pick up supplies and then we're going to keep moving." So they stop, and I guess it's supposed to be an awkward moment, but. And it's like,
Well,
this is like he's
every
trying to
scene's an
break the
awkward
tension,
moment.
like the character is trying to break the tension. And he says, "All we got in the fridge is hot dogs." And then there's a dead silence. Then he says, "You know, hot dogs get a bad rep. They got a cool shape. They got protein. I don't know why everybody hates hot dogs."
And it goes
I like
on.
hot dogs. He starts defending hot dogs.
It goes on and on. I at first, when the scene started, I'm like, oh god,
guys,
that's. I was like, oh, maybe that was a wacky on-set improv, and they
And
decided to leave it in.
any-
It was. This is a written
And-
scene.
and-
Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan's behind the
horror
camera.
movie,
Keep
you have a
going with the
moment
hot
of
dogs.
levity.
Keep hitting me
It's
with
like
the
a
hot
roller
dog talk.
coaster.
Hold on.
So they're trying to make a levity moment. Like,
You know what's funny?
This is
Hot
funny.
dogs.
Did you just call this a horror movie?
Yeah, did you find that scene funny?
It's R-rated.
It was a horrible movie.
Yeah, did you? Hey-oh. Did you find that scene funny?
Because I didn't.
No, it's not.
Andy's in his
did. I
living
didn't.
room
Why
eating a
are
hot
we-
dog, laughing around.
This is a note I have here. I'm like, why are we spending this freaking movie talking about hot dogs?
I know. It's like, what's
And did we ever see them eating the hot dogs?
No.
I don't
No,
think so.
not once in this film are you even shown footage of a hot dog. Not even in a
never
wrapper. There's
see-
no shot of
Then
him
this
loading up
guy
the truck
gives
with
you-
hot
See,
dogs.
He gives you some insight into
This guy,
the plant
of
world.
course,
And how are they going to cook the hot
Right.
dogs
Tell, don't
anyway?
show.
They're on the run.
So he gives you some insight into the plant
Again,
world.
like Brian said, tell, don't show. They happen to run into a guy who has a greenhouse and knows a lot about plants.
And who just this
And he
guy
tells
just
them exactly what's happening.
he just magically
Well, of
somehow
course,
knows.
how's he gonna-
The hot dog
There's
man.
some species of
The
plant
one-
that can emit a neurotoxin.
The one guy they
I
run
think it's
into
the
knows
trees.
what's happening.
He's just like, I think it's the
Why
plants
not?
attacking us.
Yeah,
That's
hot
the
dog
most
guy.
convenient
Why
plot
not?
device ever in a movie. They meet the one man who knows everything.
Someone's
Now,
going to meet. What? You might
here's
have met
my
some-
second
you
defense
don't
of
meet
this
people
film.
out in the world.
Here's my second
The
defense
one
of this
person who
film.
knows exactly what's happening, the main character.
Sure,
is
someone's
me.
gotta meet him.
Your two
gonna
defenses
give-
are the wind is scary and you don't meet people.
I'm
out
gonna
in the
give
world.
this film.
Right?
I'm gonna give this
I
film a
mean,
little bit
people.
more credit here. At least the pivotal guy who knows everything was not M. Night Shyamalan. Can we at least say that? At least he didn't cast himself as the pivotal character like he
Yeah,
almost
yeah,
always does.
Yeah, like he has.
Better.
Yeah. The hot dog guy, who I'm just going to know him as, they then go on the road with the hot dog guy trying to get
With the hot
to away from wherever this outbreak
Now,
is
at this
going
point,
on.
they're beginning to establish that the trees are emitting a neurotoxin that's causing people to kill themselves. Why, oh why, is this occurring in cities? They're going to the forests to retreat for safety.
That's what I don't get. Is
It's going after large groups, and then
it's going smaller and smaller. So they
Smaller
keep
and
breaking
smaller.
up into smaller and smaller groups for some reason.
right.
But why don't they just, instead of trying to go to,
Yeah, they did-
They literally they say, oh, it's attacking smaller and smaller towns. It's the trees, it's the plants. Why at that point don't they literally look at a map after that and say, oh, this town was really small. Let's go
Right.
here instead of, oh, let's go back to Philadelphia or where
There are no trees.
into a big city where there's no trees where they can just be. And I just don't.
They can all go to
understand.
Arizona if they want.
Yeah, they just had to stay
Well,
away
at
from
least-
Central Park.
Can we
basically.
can we
At
also?
least go inside.
I've got to talk about the woman who's making a phone call. I don't know if you
Right.
guys remember the
Yeah,
scene.
yeah.
I do.
Well,
I
when
do.
they stop the car with Hot Dog Man and they get out
And
they
there's
find
dead bodies in the
dead
road,
bodies,
so they stop.
They find a bunch of other people. By the way,
Again, creepy stuff you're skipping over, but go ahead.
Well, we'll let
No,
you
we're
defend
not.
the creepy
No,
stuff.
we're
We're
talking
talking
about
But there's
that.
dead bodies in every
Wow.
scene. It's like
Wait.
at this point, seeing a dog walk
There's
across
stuff
the
that's
street.
Like, that's kind of creepy. I like
There's
that.
nothing else
That's
creepy.
kind of atmospheric.
But we don't see
That's a
any.
good mood.
Yeah, you don't
Hold
see any
on,
of that.
I'm gonna say they don't see anything because when they're driving with Hot Dog Man, they just find a bunch of people who are like, "Hey, there's dead bodies that way.
go this
Oh,
way."
there's dead bodies that way
Yeah,
too.
that's why it's
There's
not
dead bodies."
creepy because people are talking
I'm talking
about
The
about-
guy says, and what is this
There's
army
other
private
parts
say
you
when he
skipped
realizes
over.
they have nowhere to go? Cheese and crackers.
All right, let's
But
we
without
jumped ahead.
Okay, Gomer Pyle.
Without seeing any of these dead bodies, all these people just start freaking out, and Hot Dog Man comes up to Mark Wahlberg and goes, "Hey, didn't your friend go to Princeton? I think that woman's on the phone with someone from Princeton." Which, again, just hit me
Someone's
with it.
got to be on the phone with someone.
why
With
not?
yeah,
Just hit me
And then
with
he
it.
hears her over the phone.
Yeah, hit me
Honey,
down. Now, so Mark
get by
Wahlberg-
the window with the tree.
Well, he runs down the road.
Like,
this
pushes
woman
his way into the
pushes his way
conversation.
through a crowd. This woman's on
Almost
the phone with
grabs the
everyone.
cell phone from her.
She's freaking out, and Mark Wahlberg's like, "What's going on in Princeton? What's happening in Princeton?" And then the woman says to her daughter, "Oh, someone here wants to know if Princeton is affected." Oh, she says everyone is dead outside. This didn't come up earlier in the phone conversation. What have you been talking about? Food? TV? Like, what were people talking? This just
Honey,
came
can
up.
you look out the window?
Oh,
Yeah, she
I-
says everyone's dead.
Yeah, everyone's dead.
And then she puts her on speakerphone because she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking
Yeah.
crazy. Puts her on speakerphone, and the daughter,
The absolute
is saying,
stranger.
She's saying something like, "I see in calculus," and she keeps saying that over and over. And then you hear a window break, and
And Mark Wahlberg's
And then
like
it cuts-
constantly interjecting in the conversation as this woman's hearing like her daughter dies. What's happening? What's happening in Princeton?
going on in Princeton.
Now,
going on?
when she said the calculus thing, I started to get kind of confused here because have we gotten to the part where John Leguizamo is in
Well,
Princeton?
let's get back. Yeah,
Well,
just
yeah,
before this, they show Leguizamo and the people he's with driving down the road through Princeton.
Dead
Oh,
bodies
happened
everywhere.
before?
I'll admit this was
Yeah,
kind of creepy.
And they
Thank you.
This scene,
Jeez.
okay.
Because again, anything
Okay,
with
no, no.
Leguizamo works. John Leguizamo works in this movie.
These scenes are good, but
If he's
there's
in the
only
scene, it
3 of
works.
them. This scene, they're driving down the road. They see the dead bodies hanging from the tree. People have climbed in the trees and hanged themselves, even though they have all these power tools because it's like a lawnmower company or something.
It's creepy as hell. They're driving their Jeep.
They
Everyone's
climb
dying.
into trees and hang themselves. So this woman in the back starts freaking out. Leguizamo starts he gives her some
Roll up the
complicated-
windows, close the vents.
He gives
it's
her
in
some
the air.
complicated math question to keep her mind off it. Then he's like, "Oh yeah, roll up the windows, clog all the vents so we don't get the air."
Then he
blah, blah.
notices- yep.
So, and I'm thinking immediately they're in a soft top Jeep, so they can't do that. You can't block the air. So, and then he notices there's of course a cut in the soft top, and he knows they're dead. So it shows a shot of the Jeep, stops in the middle of the road, then just accelerates as fast as it can and runs right into a tree.
It is a good effect.
The guy in the driver's seat flies to the
Wasn't
window.
wearing a seatbelt.
Just flies to the window. Leguizamo,
Who was sitting on the tree side
Leguizamo just gets out of the car and is fine. He just walks around the car and just sits in the middle of the road.
and then kills himself.
Then picks up something in the road.
Shard-
Broken
glass.
glass and cuts
But
his
from
wrist.
what though? Because if they hit the tree this way, the glass is gonna go.
Yeah.
He conveniently
The
picked
glass is
something
gonna be
sharp.
Doesn't
Nitpick
matter.
and
So he
I'm with you on that
he picks up glass, cuts his wrists, and then that's
There's
it.
so much wrong
That's-
with this movie. I can't.
That's
get
the end
pictures.
of Leguizamo. And
Or
that's,
was it?
But-
I was confused. I
but-
read the whole movie
I figured he
thinking
was
Leguizamo
dead.
might come back.
Yeah.
But
I was hoping he would come back.
getting back to my original point of why I brought that scene up, was math somehow the key to beating the trees? That was my facepalm, because they kept referencing math. She said something about calculus on the phone. Like Leguizamo was talking about math. The variables are building up. There's a scene later on where even Mark Wahlberg is talking about science and math, and I was like, oh no, it's math versus
Don't read
trees.
too much into
I
it.
don't, you're reading too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
skipping ahead.
So Mark Wahlberg
Oh,
and
thank you.
Mark Wahlberg and his hot dog friends are
Hot Dog Brigade.
yeah,
Mark Wahlberg in the hot dog
Mark
game.
Wahlberg and the hot dogs.
Mark Wahlberg.
are-
Yeah, I think that was his original band.
yeah.
Which we talked about, that soldier was freaking terrible.
Well, he comes up to the car when they first meet him.
Cheese and
When they
crackers.
first meet him, he comes up to the car and he's telling about how he came from his face, or whatever. He obviously blows his line at least 3 times, but
Yeah.
obviously they kept the take because they're like, "Oh, it sounds natural. Let's just keep that."
Something. I remember it's
He totally blows his line, like, "Oh, they're on the fence, the part where and he's like, he obviously blows it.
Yeah.
And then he says cheese and crackers. Like,
There's dead bodies out there. Oh, trees and crackers.
So some of the people start freezing up and doing the whole they're gonna die thing, and everyone's freaking out. And
Others decide to go.
You
others
see,
decide to go, and now Mark Wahlberg is somehow in charge.
I always thought that. It's funny how, why is he getting
He's a
in charge?
good-looking
And not
guy,
only
he's
is
gonna
he
be
in
in
charge,
charge.
everyone's freaking out. People are dying, and for a solid minute, all Mark
No,
Wahlberg says is,
Shut up! Shut up!
Give me a second. Why can't I
Yeah,
get a
the best part
second?
is- yeah,
Shut
that's-
up, think. I gotta think about this.
No, I like the line where they're all trying to get out. They're like, we need to separate it into 2 groups. People that are ready to go now, and people that still need to get stuff from their cars.
Why don't
'Cause
you
that's
just-
a
how about
logical way
this?
to break 2 groups.
Why did you just wait the 5 minutes or 2
know,
minutes
it's
even
gonna
for them
take
to
too
get
long to get your stuff out of your cars.
And the whole time when they were walking through the fields, I was wondering, wait, which group is this? Is this the group that needs to go to their cars, or is this the group that was ready to go
Am I
now?
supposed to root for one particular group?
What if
Yeah,
I just,
so then-
what
so
if I just
then-
have carry-on luggage, Mark Wahlberg? Which group am I in?
How many bags can we take? I know we get 1 personal item, 2 carry-ons or 1.
So
And
what-
if so, if
Do I
there's
have
2
to
carry-ons,
put
is that a
toothpaste
third
in a
group?
separate plastic bag?
so,
Yeah,
so
no, the best part was they're into these 2 groups. They're all like walking through the fields, and like Alex said, people are dying. They're dying though because the army guy takes out his gun and shoots himself.
Yes. Right.
And like a scene previously
he
we didn't
starts
get
shooting
into,
other
which is
people.
fine. There was a scene previously where a cop shot himself, and
Right,
basically they
that's
paid
which is not a moment we
past the
skipped
trash
over,
with a
right.
gun, and they all
because that
shoot
I could say
themselves
something
with
bad
it.
about that moment too, but I won't.
Yeah,
We're at this
there's
point
so
anyway,
many.
so.
Yeah, there's too many to talk about. So you hear in the distance, like every 10 seconds,
Yeah.
there's like a gun going off, and they're all like, "Shouldn't you?" So the other group with Mark Wahlberg, the people like. You
Zoe
should go
Dash
back
and
there,
all
Mark Wahlberg, and help them. He's like, they're already dead. And then you hear like 4 more.
Bam.
I guess they weren't all dead.
But you know they're already dead because they got exposed.
Okay, yeah, they're all dead now. A couple more. Okay, now they're all dead.
So while
think? Bam.
yeah, so while these gunshots are going on like feet away, just give me a second.
So then-
I need a
Think
second to think
scientifically,
about it.
douchebag.
And then what happens here?
Oh, okay. Now
Here you
the
realize
This is where the movie really gets
the
creepy.
most epic
This
of
is where-
concepts. In fact, I have this dialogue written down, and we'll do a brief line reading. What if it is the plants? Something in the field could be releasing the chemical, and there's too many of us together. Let's stay ahead of the wind.
And sure enough, you get
Is
a
it like
creepy
a Tom
low-angle
Petty and the
shot.
Heartbreakers song?
You get a-
Stay ahead of the
Well, I was
wind.
saying, have you
Sure
ever heard
enough,
the
you
term
get
run like the wind?
an attempt an attempt
but
to
nobody-
do a creepy shot of the wind coming for them.
That's how
How
Andy
can you outrun
rationalizes
the
that line,
wind?
because there's a saying called
no-
"run like the wind."
Run like the wind is a metaphor.
You can stay. You can run.
It is a metaphor.
That's what he's saying. Is it run ahead of the wind? Because you can't.
Run ahead of the wind. It is air. It is.
And yeah, like Jack said, there's these creepy shots of the grass, and you can see the wind is coming.
There's a creepy shot of an open
You can see the wind. Yeah, you can see the wind like blowing certain levels of grass as it gets closer to them, so you know the wind is
Come
coming.
on, run! And they turn and they run like
There's
it's
a line.
Jurassic Park and they're running for the dinosaurs.
There's a line where one of the people goes, "Here it comes!"
It's
the
Jaws
wind.
coming through the ocean.
It's the wind.
Wait, I mean, you've seen the weather report. Sometimes the wind's 2 miles per hour. You can outrun a 2 mile per hour wind.
It's the air! It's everywhere!
Here it comes. No, the best part is like they're trying to up the ante. They're like,
like-
here it comes. Cut shot. Open field.
And then the trees are watching them and then the branches
It's
are
like,
like
wait,
arms.
that's it.
I was
Summoning
laughing
the wind force.
hysterically
I was dying
during
during that.
this.
You expect like something to be coming, and it's like a stock shot of like a Disney nature film of just like trees blowing in the wind. Here it comes!
There's the main villain.
We've got company!
And then I love
Run!
it because then they try to run ahead of the wind. Of course, it doesn't work. The wind envelops them, but they aren't
That
infected.
seemed like a good plan.
They aren't infected somehow because they're in a smaller group or something.
Yeah.
So then they see a truck, and Mark Wahlberg says, "Let me see if there's a map in that truck. Why don't you see if there's keys in that truck, and then you can
It's
drive ahead of the
Yeah,
wind.
that thing's dinging.
Yeah.
Like there's keys in
Then
it.
you can definitely stay ahead of the wind because you're in a truck.
I didn't even think about that.
A truck that was left there by someone who arrived by train, by the way.
Right.
Can I ask a question? And this is not a joke. I'm asking this to Andy or to anyone who saw the movie. Are the plants in the world of this movie? Are the plants controlling the wind?
It did seem to me that there were shots of
guess.
the trees and their branches
I
were
guess
moving
it-
as if they were arms somehow.
Well, Andy's the one that's seen it 3 times.
I don't. Andy, in your,
You're right. I mean, I guess you would have to almost assume that, right? The whole Earth.
I think the wind and
plants are.
I think the wind and the plants
Because
are working in
together.
cohort.
because
Yeah,
I,
okay.
because
They're
before,
in cahoots.
actually before
Well,
you.
it's kind of like Mrs. Kentner in the
plants-
Shark in
well, the
Jaws
plants
4.
are-
Wait, hold on.
scouts. They're scouts. Like, hey, it's over here.
Well, before you give
Northwest. North. You know,
Hey,
I mean,
wind!
so, like, are they working with the? Because before
Left,
before,
left.
Other left! Camera left!
before you answer this question, there's no good answer because if you're going
There's
to
no right answer.
if you're going to tell me
There's a
that the
trick
wind
question.
is if you're going to tell me the wind is working with the plants, or if the plants are causing the wind, either way,
It's the
dumb.
chicken or the egg debate.
Yeah.
I guess it's both. I guess they're working together. Like the plants are like, okay, we're gonna release these toxins.
And the wind is like, I'm on board
The
with
wind
that.
and the plants got with a bunker somewhere, like making.
Yeah, I
the
want to see
plan
that
out there
scene. I want to see that scene.
with maps and graphs and
The plan.
Statistics, population charts,
The plant plan.
I didn't think about that. You're right.
communication
Right. I didn't
lines.
think about that. Oh, I hate this movie now.
I'm waiting for you to
Was
say
the
that.
dirt in on this too? I think there was some dirt blowing.
At this point too, because their group has gotten smaller, it's them. It's Wahlberg, Deschanel, the kid, and then 2 kids, like teenagers that have.
Yeah, I don't know where
tagged
they
along.
came from.
Yeah,
but-
generic names like Chuck and Mitch
Right.
or
So
something.
they go to this house.
But before they get to the house, we got to mention, again, end of the world. Everyone's dying. These kids just witnessed
yeah.
like tens of people kill themselves.
Yeah.
What's everyone talking about? What are these teenage kids got to?
Zoe and Mark.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark Wahlberg. What's going on with you and your wife? What's the situation there? Because that's what we really want
up
to
with-
talk about
So,
here.
you have kids?
Yeah,
What's up
why
with
not?
that mood ring?
Yeah, what's going on? Are you guys having trouble in this relationship?
Yeah.
Are all those people dead? Well, anyway, back to your relationship and the
So-
status of
The
it.
film takes
So
kind
then
of a
they get
drastic
to-
turn here.
They
Talk
get
about
to the
something else other
house.
than-
They get to the house. Oh my god.
They get to a house.
They get to the house, which is like a model house for real estate purposes.
No.
Wait, have
Oh
we
yes,
gotten
yes,
to
they
the
do. You're right.
scene?
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everything in the house is plastic.
Plastic, yeah.
And you
There's
should-
plastic
this is
wine.
important
There's
in a
plastic
minute.
bookshelves. He goes to grab a book off a shelf, and like the entire flat panel of like fake bookends comes off, and
And then Mark Wahlberg weirdly looks like he's gonna try to drink the fake glass of wine.
wine.
Yeah, at one point, yeah.
So then,
Very
of course,
odd.
here's another classic moment. I'll let
We're
Alex
really
go with
excited
this.
to do-
another classic
Well,
moment
and
from
this
the
not-
happening.
This is a really crucial
Laugh out
moment.
loud
It's
moment
a
here.
funny.
Because
Face
because
palm.
one of the big things in screenwriting is you always want to get your protagonist and your antagonist together. You want to get.
So
you want-
here it is. This is
you
this
want
epic
you
scene.
want to raise the stakes by saying you're going to get your hero and your villain in a scene together to really show the conflict.
And which is tough when the villain is the wind.
And when the villain is win. And we have that scene. Andy, I'm going to ask you to help me with the line reading. Andy will be playing the part of a plant. I will be doing Mark Wahlberg. Hello, my name is Elliot Moore. I just want to talk to you in a very positive manner, giving off good vibes. We're just here to use the bathroom. Then we're going to just leave. I hope that's okay. Andy just did the plant's line perfectly.
Thank you.
I'm touching it. Plastic. I'm talking to a plastic plant. I'm still doing it. Scene.
Everyone in the audience roars with applause.
Again, you just had a moment with the wind blowing outside, them going through the field. This was a moment of levity. Like,
I think the moment of them running from the wind was a moment of levity.
I think I was expecting the tree to come alive and like turn and look at him.
Have you ever seen a movie where there's a monologue of a character talking to an inanimate object?
Besides Castaway?
I don't think it's
yeah,
played for
Castaway works,
laughs.
though.
I really
I don't-
maybe
I'm not
a
sure
little
what
at
the point of
end,
that
no,
was.
but that dialogue was done
maybe
for
it-
like, he's
maybe a
talking to
little at the
Exactly.
end.
He missed the mark.
That's my laugh when I saw it was.
He missed the mark. Yep.
Right.
Nice, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
And we should also, I would like to make a note at this point, it's not even freaking clear in this movie at this point if it is the plants or if it is a terrorist attack. None of the main characters are really convinced either way.
Right.
for
Well, a
what is
terrorist
going on.
attack makes
So
more
then-
sense in a
And
realistic
I would say,
universe.
I was telling, before we start, this reminds me of The Village in the sense that the characters think they're in a really interesting movie. Like that a monster or a real villain is
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
after them. The characters are just as surprised as the audience is that the movie stinks and that there is no real
Now,
conflict.
they discover this point that it's happening to smaller and smaller people, or groups of people. So they see people coming towards the house they're in, and they decide to run from these people.
Right.
Now they're running from these people.
Right.
Yeah.
They're running from people instead of the wind now.
So they run away, and the people come to the house, and of course you see the scene of the guy laying underneath the lawnmower. And
Thank you. At least you
I
brought
wish
it
they
up.
took that scene a lot farther than I thought they were going to.
Yeah, they did.
And
Another like
so these
cool
people-
little creepy
By the
scene to
way,
me.
this movie was rated
Okay,
R.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
I can agree with that.
So these people are So these people have been affected. They're killing themselves, and then our main group runs along and finds another house. And this
Yeah.
is a ridiculous moment.
Have we had the scene yet where
This-
Zooey Deschanel confesses to Mark Wahlberg?
I think
about-
that's here before they go
Okay.
up to the house.
Yeah, because that was ridiculous.
she confesses that she had tiramisu
I had
with
dinner with them, and that was it.
another person.
He should, and he
he-
makes a joke about it. Where in reality,
Yeah.
he should have been like, "Are you freaking kidding
I
me?
know, he's like-
I just watched a guy put himself in
say?
front of an industrial lawnmower and get killed. Why are
It's
you
a
talking
joke.
to me about your
What's he
date
say,
with
something like-
tiramisu?"
The joke-
I dropped off my drugs.
He
and-
said, I was at the
I
pharmacy,
what's the
and I
pharmacist?
saw
Looked
a
at
really
me
cute
and
pharmacist.
I thought
and
about
I thought about buying some cough medicine because, and I didn't even have a cough. It was a superfluous cough medicine.
Superfluous cough syrup.
But I was gonna buy it because she was cute.
Yeah, and she's like, "Are you kidding right now?"
And he's like, yes.
Twitchy nods very
Which she
creepily.
responds to, "Thank you."
Thank you,
Like,
yeah.
why did Zooey Deschanel thank him for
It's
that?
okay.
He's
now.
okay with it, yeah.
Yeah.
So then they go to this other house. They're knocking on the door.
All right, this is basically
Stupid.
well, right. This is basically M. Night Shyamalan's R-rated moment. They had to have an R rating for this.
That's what I'm saying. This
whole
is
thing-
R-rated, and yet there's no like all these kill scenes that could be really awesome.
had-
They
right,
don't
this one,
show
right.
This
anything.
was billed as his R-rated
So they go to
movie,
the house.
so he had to do this.
They're knocking on the door. There's a guy inside who doesn't want to answer because he doesn't want to open the door because he doesn't want to get infected.
He's freaking out. Yep.
So the
but
kid-
the air is fine. We're breathing the air.
So and to show that they're normal people, he starts singing.
yeah.
His-
What the hell was that?
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah, he
He's
does start singing. What was
that
the
was a
song
moment
again?
of levity.
No, that was just that was a moment of stupidity. That was just dumb.
So he's
What was
singing
his song?
The kids, oh Blackwater.
Oh
Keep
yeah,
on-
go Blackwater,
Look, we're
keep
okay.
on rolling,
We're okay.
Mississippi
We're okay.
moon, won't you
So-
keep on shining on
Could an effective
me?
person do this?
So yeah, he's inside. He's got a gun, and he's like, I'm not letting in. So Mark Wahlberg, of course, is like, okay, we'll leave. The kids start being total douchebags. They're knocking on the doors, pounding, let us in, old
Let us
man.
in, you bastard! Yeah,
And of course, the guy opens the door, which I thought he didn't want to do.
and murders the
Sticks the gun
children
out.
with a shotgun.
Shoots the two kids.
Yeah, that really escalated.
Yeah,
That was
actually.
pretty
Banging the
dark.
kid's head off. Yeah, it was like this really heavy moment for this. I don't know.
After the little cough syrup levity, after the rollback water, it's ba-bam, ba-bam.
And then-
There's no hesitation. He
Yeah.
shows no mercy.
As soon as we saw those two teenagers, I was like, they may as well have put a red shirt on one.
I
of
was
them.
gonna
Like
say,
one of
it's-
these kids is dying.
Yeah.
I mean,
Star Trek
you know.
moment.
And then both of them died.
So then,
I've
yeah.
never seen that guy before.
So then they leave the dead
He's
kids
dead.
behind and run
Captain
away.
Kirk will be fine.
Yeah.
So then,
Oh, we forgot
Well,
to talk
but
about
again,
the creepy
this-
scene in that home where the girl's swinging on the swing set and there's ominous
yeah,
shots of the tree.
Yeah, 'cause-
Possibly.
Now, were they
getting-
implying that
wait.
maple trees weren't emitting toxin? Because she says, wait a minute, what kind of
hold
tree
on.
is this?
Were they implying in the scene
tree
that
was gonna piss?
by using the tree
yeah,
as
the
a
tree swing.
swing,
Yes.
we were angering the
Yeah.
Yes,
tree?
that's
Might
what they
be.
were implying.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yes, that's why we have to talk about
Now,
it.
I
the
thought
thing
they were
about
doing the
that
reversal
scene
with
is
that.
dumb.
I thought that the tree wasn't killing them, so they were implying it was kind of like a good movie, The Birds, where the two lovebirds are not attacking, but all the other birds are. Because she says a line, "That's a maple tree, right?" Not that who the hell doesn't know what a maple tree is, but she says, "That's a maple tree, right?" And the kid's like, "Yeah, so what?" She's just kind of like, almost like she feels safe next to it. And I thought maybe it was going to be kind of like The Birds, like get to a forest that's predominantly maples and you'd be fine.
Once
That's
again, reading
stupid.
too far
That's
into this.
stupid.
I
but
don't. It's,
M. Night Shyamalan isn't that smart.
why'd they
Yeah.
try to break in his house anyway? Because they're trying to stay away
They
from
need
other
the food.
groups.
The daughter, yeah.
well,
The
the
kids
plastic
wanted
food just didn't do it.
They ran away from the other group.
Andy's also correct. You're supposed to stay away from large groups of people,
So
but they're
if
trying to
there's
kick
people
in
in
the
there,
door to join these
All
other
right, let's
people.
get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they go, they leave the dead kids behind and they go to another house. And
A more interesting house that they don't follow through with.
At this house, they meet
Miss
Betty
Jones.
Miss Jones. Yeah, what's that?
Foxy old
Betty
woman.
Buckley,
Yeah,
yeah.
they meet-
I'll
They
say
meet
this was
crazy
the
old
lone
woman.
creepy part of the
Yeah,
movie.
this one was.
But they
I
don't
thought
follow
it was
through
too.
with it. They set up all this creepy stuff and makes
It
you
was kinda
think,
creepy.
what the hell is going on here? But then there's
Fell
nothing
through.
about it.
And what's the
Like
first?
that marionette
She went crazy
thing on
and
the
she
bed?
died.
Yeah,
What's
that's
the-
pretty creepy with her walking outside like that.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. What's the first thing Mrs. Jones wants to talk to them about?
Their relationship.
What's going on with
Oh,
you
yeah, yeah.
two?
Yes, that's right.
What are you
Apparently,
guys?
yeah, their relationship is like
I told you
across the country.
I told you it's a relationship movie.
It's all anybody
They're
wants
like-
to talk
And by
about.
the way, I was reading. I did not catch this at one moment in this movie at all. But this woman was supposed to represent what Zooey J. Chanel would become in the future if she kept acting the way she was acting.
Wow, I
Acting
took-
distant.
Wait, where did you get that from?
I didn't see that.
From the bonus
I think
features.
The bonus features,
Oh, really?
and I read it
Yeah.
online, was that this woman represented if Elma kept acting distant and non-emotional, that she would become this woman. So it was supposed to sort of scare her into becoming,
Well, that
more-
clearly came through in the movie.
I guess so.
You know what I really liked about this scene with Mrs. Jones is when they're at the dinner table and she talks about how there's the main farmhouse and there's an outer farmhouse, and the two buildings are connected by what she calls a speaking tube, where you can be in one but you can hear voices in the other one as clear as crystal day. I was totally shocked when that
They ended
actually
up there.
factored
It's almost
into
like
the
a-
plot
Yeah,
later
I
on.
thought that was just dinner talk.
It's almost like,
Explaining something
no.
and then following through with it?
Well, I was totally shocked. I was like, boy, that was such a subtle callback. I can't believe that got referenced
It's
again.
almost like that. You're that guy that hit the ball really far, aren't you?
Yeah.
In signs.
So,
Yeah.
so then this woman's acting like
My
her-
bat's hanging on the
This
wall.
woman acts like a huge jerk at the dinner table. She slaps the kid's hand and
She said, I suppose I should give you a room.
she offers them a room. to
she's
stay.
Yeah, she was
Bitch.
like hot and cold the whole time.
Yeah.
Why do they want to stay there? Does anyone? This is
don't
a
know.
Never
serious
explained.
question. Why would
Well,
they
for
stay
once,
once,
there?
because they're
they're being
safe,
smart
kind
and
of.
trying to not
guess-
be outside.
Yeah, I guess they figured
Nothing's
there's
bad
all-
has
only
happened
four
yet.
of them, so yeah, so.
We can handle a crazy old lady
So
and
they,
not the
they go
trees.
upstairs to the room, and they're the
Here
two
we
of
go.
them, the two of them are whispering about how Elma doesn't want to stay there, and he's like, "Oh, we gotta stay here just for the night." Blah blah. Blah. So the one they hear a creak in the hallway. Mark goes out into the hallway. He sees the woman at the bottom of the stairs, and she accuses. First, she says, "You guys are trying to steal from me, aren't you?" And he says, "No, ma'am."
No, ma'am.
So then, and here's this moment is amazing. Then he says, or she says, "You guys are gonna try to murder me and steal all my things." And he goes, "What? No!" Just like that. What? No. And she just turns around and walks away, and that's the end of the scene.
Yeah, that's it.
Just kinda,
That's the
she
end
was
of the
like,
scene.
she was like, okay.
Next scene, Mark
And walked
Wahlberg wakes
away.
up in the morning completely refreshed.
Very well. Very well. I believe you. And then she turns
think
and
she's
walks
on to
away.
us.
Yeah.
And then he goes walking to the house looking
What?
for
No.
her. The house is very creepy,
Well,
by
then
the
he-
way.
he
She's
wakes
got like
up-
some
yeah, he-
psycho thing going on with like some doll in the bed and these weird
Yeah,
creepy
what is
things.
what is
They never
honestly,
explain it.
What is with this woman? She like takes them in. She's like, I guess I have to serve you dinner, and then they have dinner. And it's kind of like a pleasant time,
And
and
she
then it's the end of
smacks
the
a
day.
kid
She's
or
like,
something?
I guess I have to give you a room. And they're like, okay. And then she accuses them of trying to murder her in her sleep.
But then,
And then
But
tries to
crazy.
murder
But
them.
here's
It's
and
just nutty.
it's such a cheap scare because first of all
Because
she,
the gas
like-
doesn't make you kill other
well,
people.
'cause
The gas
Mark,
makes you kill
Mark
yourself.
Wahlberg knocked on her door. He's trying to be all polite. Like when she pops up and freaks out, it's like,
And she
why
pulls
are
the
you
whole
popping up?
Yeah,
Like,
she pulls the whole escape from Alcatraz trick on him, where she has like the dummy in the bed, and then she like
Right.
Yeah,
comes
it's,
out there.
Well, she's
Yeah.
just nutty. That's,
She freaks out and says,
That's not Andy DeFeo. Oh, she's just nutty.
all this
yeah.
crazy
Actually,
Nutty
we
people.
can describe it that way. Why is she nutty? I don't know, because it was easier
Why,
for the
why do we
scripts
need?
to
Why
do
do we
it
need
that
a
way.
nutty lady in this
so
movie
she
at
goes,
all?
she freaks out on him and says, "Get out of my house, leave, blah blah blah," because he's in her room, so she thinks that he's stealing from her.
What? No.
So she goes into out into her garden, and he opens the door and goes out there, and he's like, "Ma'am, can't we just talk about this?" And she starts acting weird. I think she walks back.
Can we all
walks
just get
backwards, yeah.
along?
So of course he slams the door. He starts covering the doors with the boundary.
Looks
door
like he's
with
about
towels
to
and stuff.
smoke some weed.
Yeah,
He's
he-
like putting the towel in the door.
So he's trying to black out.
Oh no!
The woman,
This blood is weed. There's plants in it.
the woman comes around to the side of the house and she starts slamming her head into all the windows. Of course, opening up the windows so the wind can get in. And she kills herself.
She goes around
Which
knocking her
again, I
head through
thought
the
was pretty
windows.
cool, pretty creepy myself.
It was
but-
crappy. But so he goes.
It was crappy, not creepy.
Because the wind's getting in, he runs in the basement and he can hear the little girl. I think her name was Jess and Alma talking. So he's looking for them. Not even
Then he
dawning on
realizes-
him at all that it's probably since he can't find
Didn't
them.
they
Probably
just
in this
talk
the
about
other
that at
house.
dinner?
And
Yeah.
it's the speaking hole.
So he goes down the basement. There's a speaking hole, and they have this conversation through the speaking hole. Oh, first he tells her though, because they're in the guest house. They're in the guest house playing, and he tells them through the speaking hole.
You're in the guest house
Speaking to-
playing while still
Yeah.
everyone is dying around them.
No.
He tells them through the speaking hole.
Let's go explore."
Alma, shut all the windows and close the doors. And she goes, "Why? Like, really? Why? Have you not been paying attention?"
Oh yeah, everyone's been dying
Yeah.
around us for the past 24 hours. My bad.
So then, of course, she shuts the doors. They're separated. They're talking about the relationship. Blah blah blah. There's something about
They
the moon
straighten
ring.
out. They straighten out the relationship.
Yeah, now they love each other again and then he says, "If
wanna
I'm gonna
be with you."
if I'm gonna die, I want to be with you."
So they go and meet each other. Now
So
here's
he runs-
a big
he
miss.
opens the door and he runs out the door. She runs out the guest house door, and they
wind's
meet in the
blowing.
middle. The wind's blowing, and they're
Nothing
okay.
happens.
I would have loved it. Now, again, I'm
This
not
is-
morbid or anything, but with the way this movie was going,
should
I
have
would have
happened.
loved it if they had killed
They should
themselves
have
and it
died.
faded to black, or if it just faded to black
Romeo
and
and
they never
Juliet
said.
style.
should have
But
died.
Yeah.
and this is again like the failure of this movie to ever raise the stakes or to
Doesn't
ever
take
have
risks.
the characters drive the movie.
Right.
The big climax of this movie is two people walking across a yard where nothing happens.
Right.
It was very
Well,
windy.
the
And they go,
stakes
but my
are
favorite thing
never
is they go back
raised.
into the house, they sit in the basement, they realize they're okay, and there's like a shot of the outside of the house, and then there's just the line, which is, you can tell they threw in because no one knew what was happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where
It must have ended before we
Mark
went out that
Wahlberg-
day.
9:10.
yeah, they have the timestamp
Yeah.
in this place where you've been for the past 2 days. There's a timestamp, and Mark says the event must have ended before we went out there.
Yes,
It was
it's
like a total,
hammer
like,
it home.
yeah.
Oh, that's
this is
what
why
happened.
this is why we're not dead because
I mean, and what a storytelling failure. Nothing Mark Wahlberg or any other character is doing is driving or affecting the story in any way. No one is driving the story.
Well, my
and-
question is, like I said before, with Signs, I had the same question. Did the happening happen just for these two people to work out the relationship? It's always implied, like in Signs, it's
So
implied
the
that
universe,
Signs happened to help out Mel Gibson.
the universe
like,
destroyed millions of
help
innocent
out-
people.
So
So
wait,
that
wait,
stuff
yeah,
actually
so
happened.
hold on, hold
And
on, hold
that's
on,
a
hold
really
on.
crappy couple to kill all those people to
So
save.
Thousands,
I mean,
thousands,
Oh,
if
they're
not-
together. Oh, okay.
thousands, if not millions, of people died, so these people two people could work out their boring relationship
I think
issues.
that's what it was.
So then it goes to this totally useless ending where they've adopted Leguizamo's kid, and she's pregnant too. Not the kid,
Happy
but
ending.
oh wow, that's
Well,
Alma,
can we talk-
Alma is pregnant.
Yeah.
happy.
'Cause
This is
everything
totally
works
useless.
out well.
But I don't care about them, so I don't care if she's pregnant.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You don't
Exactly.
care about the
You don't
characters.
care about
You
these
got-
I
characters.
don't. I don't.
I did.
No,
And I
I
love
didn't.
to-
I was
didn't
honestly
care.
hoping they would die.
Well, I
I
love
cared
to
about
that-
John Leguizamo when they killed him in the first act.
Yeah,
I love
was
too
really
that
sad when
nobody's
he died.
learned from this event, and everyone's driving their buses and cars through the city again. Obviously, that's what.
And then there's a
made the plants
scientist.
angry in the first place.
There's a scientist who goes on TV, and when he's asked how do you explain it, he merely says something to the effect of, "Science can't explain everything. We're just going to
Well, there is-
ignore it and chop it up to an act of nature."
There's actually a
You're not
scene-
going to come up with an antidote in case it happens again. You're not going to send a team of scientists to explain this thing and scrutinize it and try to understand it. What science is meant to do. Nope. Just going to ignore it. Just, if it happens again, screw it. What are we going to do?
And I was impressed that M. Night Shyamalan actually put in a scene that I mean, in this interview where a TV interview or in another long TV interview scene, this is not a documentary. You don't have to do it this way. In a long TV interview scene, the questioner says, "Why did it start so suddenly and end so suddenly?" He's basically asking the guy on TV, "Here's my question. Why is this movie so stupid and meaningless?" And the guy just says, like, "Yeah, well, we don't know." That's it? That's your summation of the movie?
And two, they have a specific, down to the minute, I think. Yeah, 9:27 on Wednesday or whatever was when the event stopped. How do they know when the event stopped?
Yeah.
Well, Mark Wahlberg is like,
how they
that's
know
now
it
walked
told-
out. That's
Well,
when
how do they know the exact minute, though, that it ended?
Wait, we're just receiving word that two people in Pennsylvania walked outside and they did not die. It's over. 9:27.
Police negotiators have been speaking with a bunch of ferns. Apparently, those negotiations were successful. The event has ended. There has been a truce call.
There's been a prisoner exchange. Everything is okay.
The Christmas farm trees have not agreed, but they're in isolation.
Basically, this movie was terrible.
Feel safe.
And then it happens again,
Feel
and
safe
then
to
you get
approach
the
ferns,
cliffhanger ending.
willows, and maples. Any other plants may be considered
And then you
toxic
get
and
the
dangerous.
cliffhanger ending where the same thing happens in France, which goes back to what I said before as to why the hell didn't they come up with an antidote.
There was a
Here-
troubled couple in France.
This is my biggest question about this movie in the France scene. Did anyone else look at the subtitles for the dialogue
Yeah,
of the
he
French
kept
characters?
needing his bicycle.
But not what they were saying. The actual subtitles themselves.
Were they wrong?
If you have a big
don't speak
screen
French.
TV, you've got to get these. I don't know why, if this was a creative choice, if it wasn't, or if this just never got finished in post. Look at the actual font. It's like a 1985
Oh, yeah, it looks like VCR,
APC
yeah.
font.
I didn't
It is
notice
the
that.
most
You're actually-
No, I did.
Now you're
I did. I
nitpicking.
noticed
I'm
that.
not nitpicking.
The
You have to
text.
see it. It looks
It
like
looks
God.
tasteless. I think it even partially covers
it
the
looks
bottom of the
like
letterbox.
It looks like it's like Commodore 64.
Yeah,
I
and
don't-
actually, when you watch deleted
You're right,
scenes
you're
with
right.
subtitles, it looks like that.
I don't think it
before
ever
they-
got fully rendered.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I think they forgot to render it or something.
Oh my
because-
god, this movie's terrible then.
This is
They
a
used
this
a
is-
bad font.
This is, no, they didn't use a bad font. I think they never rendered it on a multi-million-dollar film.
Yeah.
So, my one question after watching this movie was, not my one question, one of my questions was, so this is an airborne toxin, they know this. There's only one shot in the film of anybody like wearing a gas mask.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a funny
old
shot, a
ladies.
quote-unquote
Oh, yeah.
funny shot where
Yeah.
two old ladies are watching TV
right,
knitting
yeah,
with
yeah.
gas masks.
No one.
Why? There's
no one attempts to cover their mouths.
There's no army base where they're handing out gas masks.
No.
There's no make sure you keep your breathing masks on at all times. Stay indoors.
He's
There's nothing
got
like
freaking-
that.
No one,
cheese
no one
and
even
whiskers
puts a
going
shirt
wild.
over their
In the
mouth.
real world, when there's SARS or H1N1 out there, people are wearing surgical masks when they're on the train and stuff. But these people don't ever think to just cover their mouth.
Yeah.
This could have been the prequel to Contagion.
Now my question though to you guys is this.
Nope.
At what point do you watch a movie and be like, okay, all right, the acting is bad and all that, but I enjoyed it because of the atmosphere.
The whole film. Okay.
You know what I mean? You know,
I'm gonna
there's-
answer your question.
there's certain movies you guys
I think
like.
I think I can answer this
Not
question
this
right
one.
now. The movie,
Not this one, but other
movies with bad stories and bad acting and bad dialogue cannot be saved by good cinematography or good creative lighting or nice moods or anything of that nature. If a movie sucks because of the story, sucks.
Why don't you watch Abduction 2 more times to see if you like that one too?
There's no atmosphere.
You
There's
mean
nothing there
that
on
creepy
kind of-
atmosphere?
I will agree
of
with
a
you.
wide shot.
I
of
will
film?
agree with you.
Yeah.
I will agree with you. Shyamalan is very good at
Those window
creating
effects are very
mood.
good.
He's very good at creating
I thought it was
mood. He's
visual.
very good at visuals. He's very good at creating an eerie atmosphere. However, in the long run, it's all just smoke and mirrors to try to distract the audience from a lack of a good
From a
plot.
terrible script. Terrible. If you see this movie, and we'll go into our, like, you know, if it's worth seeing. This script, it's worth seeing this movie because it is laughably bad. There are multiple. I laughed out loud.
Oh, yeah.
Regularly.
They're making,
through
and
this
these
movie.
actors are making Shatner look like Oscars.
Yeah. All right, we did a quick poll before this episode started, an anonymous poll. I'm going to read some of the results here. First one here says, more entertaining than Lady in the Water. Worse movie than Lady in the Water. Terrible.
I thought we were just putting out if we liked it or not.
Yeah, I thought we were. Too.
Here's another one. It says, no, but it's better than Lady in the Water. Yeah. Final one here says, hell no. I hate to say it, there's only one vote remaining. Oh, there's one vote that says, I like it. That vote was signed by Anonymous.
I just gotta say that
I
was
believe
me.
it has an exclamation point.
Oh, it does
too.
have an exclamation
It's like that review.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it.
She got a question mark like Mark Wahlberg. I like it.
I like it. Is it a good movie?
What?
No.
This is usually the point when we talk, where we bring up people who reviews from the internet, from IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, of people who liked the movie. We actually have one person here, so
Looks like
I'm
a
going to bring up
living,
a
breathing
couple of
person.
reviews, good and bad. I'm going to give Andy the choice. Andy, would you like to hear the good reviews I pulled off the internet first, or the bad reviews I pulled off the
I want the
internet?
bad ones first.
You want the bad ones
Yeah,
first?
yeah,
Okay.
Always good to get bad news.
This is
first.
my favorite one. This is from Christopher Orr, not our friend Christopher Orr. Not our friend Christopher Orr. Christopher Orr, who's with the New Republic.
I read this one.
Quote, an astonishment, so idiotic in conception and inept in execution that after seeing it, one almost wonders whether it was real or imagined.
That's actually a really good.
That should be the back of the DVD case.
And this is my favorite bad review from a newspaper. This is from Bob Grimm with the Reno New and Review. Holy mother of God, this is awful.
And that should also be on the back of the DVD. That'll be on the Blu-ray cover.
And I would
Yeah,
like
that's in
to
the
bring
quotes.
in-
Holy mother of God.
I would like to bring in a very special negative review.
I
We
see
don't
that. I
normally
see.
get to do this on this show.
that's funny.
But we have the context, courtesy of the internet, of a review. I'm going to read this review, or this comment on the movie. We'll tell you who it's with after. I'm going to have to replace some of the profanity. If you're hearing me say freak, you can do the math in your own head and guess what was actually being said. Freak it. It is what it is. Freaking trees, man. The plants. Freak it. That's Mark Wahlberg talking about his own movie, The Happening.
Mark,
Pretty good. I like
What, is he drunk at a party?
No, in an interview, he talks about what a bad movie this is.
Mark Wahlberg, you're my hero.
Yes. So
Freak, man, it's the plants.
What do you say? You can't play? Okay, go.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
read that one later.
now, I will give a couple of good reviews, and if you go to the Rotten Tomatoes page for this movie, which I highly think anyone should, almost all the positive reviews are the most backhanded of compliments. I'll start with Glenn Whipp.
The
He's with the Los Angeles Daily News, not the Times. Not the Times. His review is, quote, "It's creepy, silly fun, and if it came from anyone else, it would be recognized as such. One thing is certain, the man hasn't lost his ability to entertain." Nope, he's lost it. I'm going to disagree with that. And this is my favorite positive review from Richard Roper.
wow.
Quote, "It almost dares you to roll your eyes or laugh at certain scenes that are supposed to be deadly serious." It doesn't get much more backhanded than that, folks.
Yeah.
It does more than dare.
With good
It's an
review-
open
and then-
invitation.
And then he says, "But you know what? I appreciated this creatively offbeat, daring sci-fi mind trip." I didn't really at any point.
Yeah, I didn't.
feel like
Mine.
I didn't feel like anything about it was
Mine tried to
particularly
go on a
sci-fi-ish, but yeah. Those are the positive reviews, and Rotten Tomatoes full of critics who basically are saying like, it's really dumb, but there was this little one thing I sort of, and not
like
many
him.
of those.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some creepy scenes.
Stop the
some
movie
of the
moments
creepy stuff
then.
I like.
Stop the movie moments.
Yeah, let's do some stop the movie moments.
None. I mean,
Really?
Well, obviously, Andy's seen it 3 times.
Really?
It's more
I
like,
haven't stopped it yet.
what's the watch again moment for Andy?
Yeah. Wow, Jack.
When John Leguizamo's character dies, because it was at that point that I knew that there was no hope left for this film because he was the best actor in it.
that's a good point. Brian, what do you got?
God, I don't know if I can pick like one movie. I mean, or one scene. I guess the one scene that sticks out to me is just the ridiculous scene in the field where they're fearing the wind and like you expect something to be coming and yet you're, like we talked about before, you're getting a static shot of an open field. But also just all of the scenes with Zooey Deschanel and Mark Wahlberg. Like the whole time I was watching, I was wondering, how can M. Night Shyamalan be watching these scenes and seeing that they work?
Yeah. Cody?
I think probably early on in the movie when Mark Wahlberg puts the giant mood ring on his finger, I knew what kind of movie this was going to be. I knew it was going to be another Shyamalan. Here's some stuff, some symbolic stuff, and some stuff that you don't care about in this movie.
For me, it was
Like the color red in the village.
Oh,
that
that's
kinda,
true. Yeah, and they were trying to do a whole color thing with that mood ring too. That was a failure of like symbolism. For me, it was like a little moment, but it was that scene in the diner where all these calm people watching TV, like someone just goes, "Let's get out of here," and everybody freaks out, and it was so ridiculous and unnaturalistic. That was it for me. That was it for me. We're gonna recycle last week's So Wrong It's Right game and bring it back for this week. Andy, you got to. All right, the So Wrong It's Right game. We trivia question. We bring it up. We see if people can get the answer to it for a glamorous prize that probably means nothing. 2008. This would surprise some people. The Happening was nominated for Razzie for Best Picture, for Worst Picture.
Really?
Yeah. It was. It really awards
Of the
season.
whole 2008.
This is really. It seems like a film made for the Razzie.
People are
Awards.
so tough.
They are.
Here are the nominees.
They didn't watch it 3 times before they.
They didn't watch their screeners enough. Here's the nominees for the 2008 Worst Movie: In the Name of the King, A Dungeon
boy. That was
Siege
terrible.
Tale by our old friend Uwe Boll.
Jason Statham.
The Happening, The Love Guru, the Mike Myers movie, The Hottie and the Naughty, the Paris Hilton,
Hilton, yeah.
somewhat attempted comedy, and Disaster Movie and Meet the Spartans shared a nomination.
That's a bad year.
That's a bad year. That's a bad. So I'm going to run down the finalists again. It's the Disaster Movie, Meet the Spartans combo pick, The Love Guru, The Happening, The Hottie and the Naughty, and In the Name of the King, A Dungeon Siege Tale.
I'm gonna say Love Guru. I'm gonna take that one.
All right,
I'm
Brian.
gonna go Hottie Naughty.
Okay.
As much as I hate those comedies, and I would love to choose Meet the Spartans because it was terrible, I actually think that it at least didn't pretend to be something else. I'm going to choose today's film,
Could just say
The Happening.
Okay. Andy,
I want to say a Love Guru, but I know it's probably going to be The Happening.
It actually the Wolf family doing well. It is The Love Guru.
Wow.
It is The Love Guru. It did not. The Happening did not win this. And before we go, I wanted to. I don't know how many of our listeners are familiar with this. Empire Magazine. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's kind of the big film magazine in England. Hard to. It's not really Entertainment Weekly, but I mean it's a big deal in England. They recently came out, had their readers poll, thousands of people voting, the 50 worst films ever made. I'm going to give you some of the films that scored higher than The Happening. Showgirls.
Oh!
Jaws 4.
Oh!
House of the Dead.
Oh, Jesus.
Howard the Duck.
Wait, scored higher in what way?
They were rated better
Better?
than
Really?
The Happening. Freddy Got Fingered.
What?
That's just
Geely.
ridiculous. Oh, gee, come on. Even you guys got to admit that's ridiculous.
Catwoman.
Oh, this is known as the biggest flop of all time, except for Ishtar.
Oh, don't worry. Plan 9 from Outer Space. Right?
Oh, that makes no sense.
I've watched
That's
Plan
why I
9
hate this.
3 or
Those are
4
dumb.
times. I
The
will never watch that
Happening
movie again.
clocked in as the 8th worst movie of
Damn it,
all
that's
time.
That's
Really?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think that's a little harsh.
I don't know if I rated it that high, but that was.
I would
pretty
say it's
horrendous.
I would say it's really bad if for Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
I've seen much worse.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I've ever seen worse acting.
I've never seen worse for a
From
Hollywood
big name
movie.
people.
For
I've
a
never seen
Hollywood
worse
movie,
acting.
I've never seen. I've rarely seen worse for a Hollywood film. Yes,
I would
I'll agree with
challenge
that.
someone to show me a Hollywood film that is worse written than this film.
And
Yeah.
acted.
And acted. I mean, I would challenge anyone. I mean, yeah.
Will the collective works of Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich come to mind?
Oh, they do. All right, quick round table. Is it so bad it's good?
It's just good.
I knew that was coming. I was going to start with you, and I like tried to pull it back, and I didn't have time.
Yeah, it was already
It was
out
like
there.
the pass was
I want
already
to
out in
start
the
it off.
air.
The wind
Yeah.
took it and right to Andy.
Yeah. Jack, you're
Nope.
not. You're saying not so bad.
It's not.
good.
It's not so bad. It's good. Nope.
Really okay.
Oh, I
Brian?
definitely watch it again.
Yeah.
I think it was laughable enough where maybe I would watch it again, but I wouldn't say it's good.
I think this is so bad it's good. I mean, it is so terrible. I think anyone who's a fan of cinema should see it to watch the bottom depths of how bad storytelling can get. To watch this film, I think it's that bad. I think this film is more entertaining than Lady in the Water. Whoever wrote that in the ballot, I agree. It is a more... I would watch this movie before I would watch Lady in the Water again.
Never watch that ever again.
But I think this is a worse film. It's more entertaining than Lady in the Water, but is a worse made
makes
film.
no sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can be
Lady in the Water,
entertained by a
that-
bad movie.
I
Yeah,
know, but
I mean,
Lady in the
Lady
Water
Water
was shot
script is
better. It
more-
was acted better.
the script in
There was
Lady in the
more
Water is more
effort.
ridiculous.
There's more effort put into the script, though.
Yeah. I mean, Lady in the Water is shot better. I mean, it is... But I would
The
not watch...
acting is better in it. The dialogue sucks, but the acting is much better.
This is direct. And has me excited. I think at some point The Last Airbender is going to be on this show.
I think we should do an entire podcast just talking about M. Night Shyamalan. Just,
we should.
And
About all his
each
movies
film,
and about his
each film
filmmaking.
progressively gets worse.
We're like rationing out his films.
But it starts
you know?
strong, so we'd have to try to pass over The Sixth Sense because The Sixth Sense is good.
Sixth Sense and Unbreakable
Oh, yeah.
are great movies.
Yeah.
You know, things just go off the wheels about there.
Happening.
Yeah, his big comeback film.
We should really edit that out. You just snuck that. Yeah, you just like sidled into the mic with that comment. That brings this podcast to a close. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/stopthemovie. I want to get out. You can find us on Twitter. Jack, you're on the Twitter.
I am on the Twitter. You can find me, and I tweet bad movies.
What's your Twitter handle?
JACKESTABROOK. My name, Jack Estabrook.
Very good. I'm on Twitter at Alex Dunbar News. Please consider subscribing to the podcast if you like it, and feel free to give us a better review. Please give us. I hope you give us a better review than Mark Wahlberg gave his own movie. That would be nice.
Freak, man. They talk about movies.
What? No.
What? No.
And we will be back very soon with another episode, probably some more special guests. All right.
Ooh.
See you next time.